I gotta tell you, buddy, I shouldn't have hit the live button. That was the best phone call I've ever heard in a long time.
Oh yeah.
Well, good morning, Nolan.
Good morning, post draft.
Yeah, you feeling it today, buddy? I
am.
posted something on Facebook with you kind of rolling your back on the ground. I don't know if you saw it on our Know the Score. Okay, it's a polar bear. He's kind of like all excited.
Yep.
And, yeah, feeling Friday. So
there you go. Yeah, feeling it today. Yeah,
I think
the whole bus ride home last night. It's just running through my head, and then I got home and started answering my 30 texts I got from Hewlett here.
Yeah.
And Jacob was one of them. He sent a couple of videos of like when Williams went into Odunze's little room while he was on this. That was cool. And then actually when he actually drafted him, I think I sent you that one where he said, he's like, we got our man.
Yeah.
Got our man. Uno. Yeah. I'm like, hey, there's his nickname. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and I think I said two great duds.
Yeah, I know. Two great duds
right there. So hey, it looks like Coach Zachman is joining us right away. You want to bring him in? There he is.
Oh, yeah, we'll bring him on right away.
Right on. Hey, Coach, how are you today?
Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah. Loud and clear.
Nate, do you feel the excitement in the room this morning after the draft last night?
Let's go. I hope it works out for you guys. I really do.
Yeah. Which one?
You know, I kind of
over for me. Which one?
The NFC North will be a battle.
Okay, I like that.
But we were going to do draft grades this morning, and we've decided to leave Detroit out of it because they're going to go back to irrelevancy in the NFC North. I think we're all in agreement on that.
I think we all hope that. Who knows?
We do hope that, but Dan Campbell will make it happen for us.
Okay, there you go. So, Nolan, you want to introduce Coach? You know him a little bit better than I do.
Yeah, Nate Zachman, Coach Zachman, up from the Mott Regent area. Football coach, used to coach basketball. I know he misses basketball, definitely. And but you know what? When you've got 3 kids and a 4th on the way, it's you got to start downsizing a little bit on your workload, right?
You are spot on, man. That is you know what I miss the most actually is track. I love track and field.
Oh yeah, you were track coach too, yeah.
Yeah, I probably miss that the most. And if I ever pick up doing multiple sports again, it might be track first. Football is just it's special and it's honestly easier to manage because you got 1 game a week. And it's just a little bit easier to manage for family life. And yeah, it's been good.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, let's get right into it. Chad, I know, has a question on.
Well, that just brought up another question. So interesting enough, Coach, our football coach where my kids go to school, he also coaches track.
Yeah.
So and this is just right off my head. Are you thinking like, okay, here's my running back coming out for sprinting. So I'm going to give, and you don't have to answer this, but you give him extra time when that, like, hey, man, I can see this, I can see that. Do you do a little football coaching here or there, or are you not allowed to talk about that? Or what?
No, I think the biggest thing is I like in track and field, my athletes get to see a different side of me.
Okay.
And it's a little bit more laid back. It's a little bit more personable because, in football, you got an hour and a half, 2 hours practice. And it's, and then in track, you're together all day long and it's just fun. And you get to see, I'm a big, I love the hurdles. And so and hurdles and javelin and triple jump and long jump. And that's kind of where you want some of your best athletes to be. And yeah, for sure. It's a great opportunity. I think, like I said, to network, if you will. Sure. And even to get kids out for football who haven't played yet and to get to see a different side of Coach Zachman that isn't, the 2 hours at practice. Not that it's drastic, you know what I'm saying, but it's a different spring sports is a little bit different vibe. And I think it's really important to be a multi-sport athlete. And that's becoming less and less, unfortunately.
Yeah, I have seen that. I have my son who is a wrestler / football player. He just kind of lost interest in football. He doesn't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
And he just loves wrestling. I think it's because it's him versus one other person.
Yep.
I will say that here in Rochester where I'm at, we're a fairly large town. We have 3 high schools. And so the one that we go to, they just moved up to the 6A level. and that's playing all the teams from the Minneapolis and St. Paul area. And my son's 6'1", about 185, 190. And he was going up against guys that are like 260, 270. And it's just, you push those two together, and the first couple plays he could get around them, but after a while, I think they just wore him down, and I'm sore.
That's sore. Big time 6'8", man. That's a big.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's and they held their own. So they are, they do it again next year. My son's a junior, but he's not, it's not fun for me anymore. And I've always told him, if you're not having fun with that sport, do what you're doing, having fun. Yep. And I don't want him to burn out on that. Yeah. So, but, so there's that one. Next one I have, Nolan, you might as well just go ahead and go away, because you're not going to get word in edgewise there, buddy. But so 9-man football. Yeah. See there, hold himself up. 9-man football. We have some smaller towns around us. They either go into the co-op and stay with the 11, the 11 on 11, or they're dropping to that 9-man. Can you tell me, and what's the biggest difference? Obviously, 2 less players in the 9-man, but is it more run heavy? Is it more pass heavy? Is it, what is there any sort of difference in that game?
The biggest challenge and the biggest difference is the defensive side of the ball and special teams. So in 9-man, you don't have the 2 less players is bigger in 9-man because you don't have an alley player or a force player. Sure. And so you have to decide if you're going to play 11, which is man-to-man for us, or if you're going to play a cover 3 or cover 2, you're going to give something up. Okay. So we're a big, we have a 30 front. So we're 3-4 with a cover 3, and our outside linebackers have got to be studs. You have to cover a third, and you have to be able to come over and do run support. Okay. And if you stay man-to-man, as Nolan would know, you got to have studs there too, because if you get beat over the top, there's no safety help. So I think the biggest challenge of 9-man and will be the defense side of the ball, and then because we still play on the regulation 11-man field. Sure, yeah. And then special teams is an absolute circus. I mean, it's okay, Isaiah Clute, don't punt it to him. Don't kick it to him. You don't have enough players for the space on the field for an electric player like that. And he was an all-state football player, had a great career at Dickinson State, like from Hettinger Scranton. An athlete like that can just destroy you in the 9-man side of things. Offensively, we can do a lot of the same things the 11-man does, and you can get really creative. I mean, running your RPOs and running your zone reads and running your tunnel screens and your tunnel slips. But at the end of the day, all football comes down to blocking and tackling.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
That's my opinion.
Yep, absolutely.
So what you're saying, Nate, is the Vikings would be better off playing 9-man than 11-man.
Hey, you can't be taking shots at the Vikings now that Norman Gibson, special teams coach there from Harding County. We gotta show the Vikings some love.
There you go. There you go. So, go ahead, Nolan. Sorry. I was just going to say, Coach, so that player goes from 9-man and he's going to college and he goes back to 11-man. Is there an adjustment for them, or is it, I mean, obviously they're great athletes if they're playing in college. So I don't think that there'd be much of a, like, oh God, I forgot how to play this position or whatever, like that safety position you said. So have you talked with any of your former players that did go back to that 11-man? Is it something they take a couple games to figure out, or?
I don't think it's the schematics. I think it's the size and the speed and the physicality. I think that you have so I graduated from Beach High School, and here's a plug for Coach Zier and Landon Leckler. Landon Leckler played for Beach for Coach Zier. He was tight end, D end, and he goes out to NDSU and has an All-American career. And he played 9-man football. So football was football. I think Carson Wentz was really famous for that. That was his quote, "Football is football," when he was going through the draft process, and I think that's kind of just football is a really simple game. And I think the adjustment probably would be I don't think schematically. I think it'd be more so just size, speed, and kind of the demand that college can. There's a big difference between college preseason and high school 9-man preseason.
Sure.
Fall camp.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
All right, Nolan. Your turn, Nolan. I'll give you the mic.
Well, and I've known Nate since, I did play-by-play when he was a young buck at Mott Regent. So,
oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah. So that ages me and that ages Nate as well. But yeah, just South Dakota North Dakota football is it's just fun. I mean, 9-man.
Yeah.
We went from we were all 11-man at one point.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, they say, "Hey, you guys are all going 9-man next year," and people are like freaking out. And they're like, "Are you kidding me? We're going 9-man. This isn't going to be fun." And all of a sudden, game 2, we're like, "Hey, this is fun." I think
Yep.
Hettinger and Richardson had a what was it, 62-63 ball game or so? I mean, they each had like over 500, 600 yards offense. I mean, it was.
That's that
Touchdown
defense. I'm
after
telling you.
touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we couldn't figure out the defense part of it, either team. But yeah, just 9-man football, I think, is, you mentioned Isaiah Clute, Chad. He was went to Hettinger High School here, and yeah, I'd even say it before the punt, and it's like, all right, you know, they're not going to punt to him. They're just not going to. And
Yep.
the thing went right down the middle of the field, right to him.
Yeah.
And he went all
He's
the way
gone.
to the left, got caught, and went all the way back around to the right. I think he ended up running about 150 yards on his 40-yard kick return. But
He was the Devin Hester of 9-man.
Oh man.
There's
Oh,
a throwback
you-
for you.
literally,
You just got a friend in life from Nolan now that you said that. So-
well, you said Devin Hester, and I just got goosebumps again. I just
oh man. So
but no,
great.
Nate, you've been on a hell of a ride. I mean, I watched your last podcast that you went on with Dallas, and man, that between playing football, coaching all, what you're doing, some of the stuff I didn't even realize happened to you in the past that
Yeah.
kind of opened my eyes a little bit. You know, you're quite the celebrity down here in Southwest North Dakota.
Well, I don't know about celebrity, but I'm just a small town southwest boy. But yeah, I think just being grateful for every opportunity, Nolan, and having an opportunity to like I don't take anything for granted. Like when Mr. Kohler and I when you were coaching the regional, and I got to be on the radio, like I'm so grateful for that. Like that's opportunities like that. And
You were like
here's
a
the
kid in
biggest
a
thing
candy
is,
store. I looked up and you both were just grinning.
oh, it's so fun.
Doing play-by-play. I thought that was pretty cool. So
I think one thing to live by is the grass is most green where your feet are. Just don't forget to water it. And I think it's just really important not to be looking here and looking there. They got it better than we got. You know, I think just having a mindset of attitude of gratitude and has really helped me in my coaching and professionally and personally. And yeah, it's just a way to live life.
So one thing I always think about is like when my boys went through, you know, especially Jacob, when he went through football and played in Hettinger, got to a state semifinal his freshman year. After that, they struggled. I mean, they had probably one of the better teams in Southwest North Dakota, but just struggled to pick up wins, couldn't move things. And, you know, in the back of my mind, there's always these people that, you know, as they're juniors going, you know what, I want my son to win a state championship, so I'm moving to so-and-so, and I want to go here. And it's just, you know, there's times I look back going, it'd have been nice to be up playing at Napoleon or, you know, somewhere like that. But, you know, for the most part, I think, you know, I know Jacob regrets not playing college football. He was talked to, went to DSU, had a college day there, went down to South Dakota a couple places, and ended up just the recruiting was kind of weird, and the recruiters never got back to him, and it was just kind of, so he decided not to do anything, went out to NDSU, and I said, walk on.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not going to walk on. I'm like, worst they could do is tell you no.
Yep.
Right.
You know, and that was the same thing with baseball. And I think he would have succeeded in baseball.
Yeah.
At NDSU as a even as JV, but I'm like, just got to do it. And he's such a timid kid. And he's just like, no, I'm not going to go to tryouts. I'm like, I'll drive out there. I'll walk you to the tryout.
Nolan's got his glove ready to go.
Yeah.
What I'm going to say to you is, sorry, you're not good enough. Come back next year,
but at least you tried. You can't. I think Coach said it best. It's kind of that what if. What if I would have done this? What if I would have done? You can't. And
I'm not saying he has like regrets where he's waking up every day going, oh, why didn't I do that? But you know, he had some concussions in high school, which I think weighed in the back of his mind as well. And so I mean, that happens when you're a linebacker and you want to go try out for college, that was the first thing through my mind going, do I want him to play college football with a couple concussions under his belt in high school?
Yeah.
Well, I love your comment about, like the freshman year to the junior year and maybe didn't have the success in the win-loss column. And we never talk to our guys about winning. It's always about competing.
Yeah. Right.
We never tell our guys this is a must win. Like, kids know that. Like, I mean, that's why you play. Like, you're a winner. You either win or you lose. So we never try to use the W word, and we just try to use the C word, and that's just compete. And that kind of just takes care of the win and losses itself, because, because when you're not having the winning seasons, if you will, with this success in the win and loss column, then that's kind of what you get hung up on. And it's so much more important than winning. It's just competing. Just compete.
Yesterday was obviously a big day with draft day. I'm not going to bore you with the full story. I'm just going to tell you the final result, Nate. Last night, we traveled up to Hazen for baseball.
Saw the score.
You did. 10 innings. Yeah.
Let's go.
I wish I could have did the play-by-play for that one. That was pacing back and forth. The assistant coach wasn't even watching. He's like, I can't watch. Every time we'd have 2 strikes, they'd turn around to my daughter and the other gal at stats. I said, every time I don't look, he strikes them out. All of a sudden, strike 3. I'm like, like, you got to keep doing that, coach.
That's great.
That was the point of, I've got a young squad. I've got 5 seniors, but, they're getting that winning mentality of we're winning 5-4 in a walk-off. We're winning 3-2 and 10.
They're competing. Yeah.
We stuck with Shiloh until we had a big error in the 6th inning.
Yes.
It's like, so they know they can compete. And it's like, okay, hey, we go to Shiloh next Thursday. Now coming off a couple wins, I think the bus ride is going to be a little bit more enjoyable, thinking, hey, we've got a shot at beating these guys.
Mental
that
toughness too.
Very often.
Yes.
And that when we had Shiloh and those bigger schools, it's just like you got on the bus, and as you said, you're telling your kids, hey, we're going to compete today. And on the way home, you're like, geez, 50-0. That was not fun.
Was that competitive? Yeah.
So at least when they redid the regions, you're not traveling down the road going, geez, where are we going to eat after the game? Because you're going to be pretty bummed out,
One thing I learned this from Coach B playing at Dickinson State, and I love this. He goes, you'd always say this. He goes, when you win, you're never as good as you think you are. When you lose, you're never as bad as you think you are.
Yeah.
And the tape will show that. Like, if you go, like, if you win, you're like, wow, we didn't do things the right way. We didn't do everything perfect, but we still won. And when you lose, you're like, oh man, we weren't that bad. So kind of always keep that happy medium right in the middle. I think that kind of helps keeps us coaches and our guys kind of just focus on the next task.
There you go. So I have a daughter, coach, that she's 14 playing in a U15 select soccer league. And
nice.
We went to Phoenix back in, I think it was early March, and we got matched up against like the 2 top teams from the San Francisco area and the 3rd rated team in Canada. And our girls just got, the first game was horrible, and they all came off the field and they were just like, oh man. And then the second game, they played a little bit better. And then when they finally played that 3rd ranked team from Canada, it was 2-0. And some of the parents were like, we really lost. I said, yeah, but look at our girls. They were sitting there laughing, having a good time.
Yeah.
And so I think your point of just, as long as they're having a good time with it as well, and my daughter pulled, we were driving and she said, yeah, we played really well. We played really well. And I said, there you go. Yeah. And that's what it's all about. And, they were outmatched, and I think their coach Rick did it on purpose just to show them like you're not as good as you think you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but you still can compete with teams that are a little bit better than you. So it was, and my wife was like, "Wow, it wasn't any fun. They lost all 3." And I said, "Lily learned, the girls learned, and then having dinner that night and just seeing them laughing and giggling and just." It's just the camaraderie of sports too. I think sometimes our parents get like, they gotta win. But for me, it was all about being with my buddies. And if we won, it was great. And if we lost, we'll come back next time and we'll really try.
I have an unwritten rule on road games that it's highly suggested that you come back on the bus. I think that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just the memories, win, loss, you're in the back of the bus, you're with your buds and you're, communicating and talking.
Yeah.
I think that's so important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mentioned that to my kids. I said, one of your big memories might not be your ball games. It might be
Right.
your bus trips.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny when, as a coach, you're sitting there, all of a sudden, kid comes up, yeah, I'm going home with my mom and dad. I'm like, oh, I said, not gonna ride the bus. We're going to McDonald's, Arby's. You know, I'm like, no, I'm going home with my parents. I'm like, we'll get home 5 minutes after you. Yeah, I know. I'm like, okay, give me the option. And I've said that to the team before. I'm like, guys, hey, appreciate it if you guys all ride the bus home. I said, baseball players, I think there hasn't been one kid that hasn't rode the bus home.
I love it. And that speaks for your
nice.
culture too, like you want to be. And speaking of parents and coaching, as my kids are 7, 5, and 3, and they got a long ways before they get involved. But one thing that I've learned and experienced a little bit is when my kids get into athletics, at the you did in the junior and the varsity level, is I told my wife, I said, we will never talk about the coaches in front of our kids ever, or their teammates, because what happens is you can plant a seed, and I may even be right and say your coach shouldn't have done this or should have done that, and whatever. And I said that just plants a seed in your in my kids to question authority, and then they kind of get torn. Well, mom and dad said this, but coach said this. So that's a rule that we're going to have when my kids get involved as they get older. Said we're not talking about coaches or teammates in front of our kids at the dinner table, because it's just not going to do any good.
Well, that was a big thing too. As I was assistant coach this year, my daughter didn't get a lot of playing time to start the season, and of course, I walk in, Gabby's already downstairs, and wife meets me at the door. What's the deal? Why is she playing? I'm like, not going to go into it right now.
Yep.
Talk about this later.
Yep.
And and Gabby understood it. I mean, there was she was a senior, but when you're in small schools, when you're in big schools, you're not guaranteed just because you're a senior. You may get a jersey, but those minutes aren't guaranteed. And I think she understood that. And she went out. She was frustrated all year because, there was different things, but not once did I go and say, the coach doing a horrible job. He should be playing you.
That's great, dude. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she survived it. And I think made her a better person. Rode the bus to and from. And as a dad and as a coach, of course, whenever there was a bucket scored, I'd always glance down to see who was cheering.
Yes.
Is that 8th and 9th and 10th girl jumping up and cheering, or are they just down there going, yeah. And I'll say the two seniors that didn't get a lot of playing time, they did get their minutes here and there. They were probably two of the bigger cheerleaders, which was awesome to see. And it's just like, and it wasn't me going down to her room and saying, hey, you better start cheering when girls score, or,
right.
I mean, it was all, and it was awesome to see. And I tend to do that, and watching my youngest come up and all these, I watch benches so much, even when you're coaching or on the sidelines, I watch and I just kind of, all right, yeah, these kids are engaged. And when you don't have kids engaged as the third or fourth kid off the bench, and all of a sudden you put them in, how engaged are they going to be for the first 5 trips up and down the floor?
Yeah, I love that. And I think I love your comment about, some like your daughter going through adversity. I want my kids to go through adversity. I don't want my kids to be cupcake. We've had a kind of a little, like a season of kids and maybe parents that have kind of just sugarcoated everything for I want my kids to go through things and struggle and learn from it and battle through with it, because that builds character. And I think we all three could agree, would you rather have your daughter be all region, all American and not be a good person, or not be all region, not be all American and be a good citizen and a good person and a good teammate that understands what's important in life? And I think we all would agree the latter.
Absolutely. So, first off, where were you 10 years ago? Because I needed that advice about don't talk about the coaches. I joke. I have 4 kids as well, and they've all done separate sports, and the coaches have been fantastic. My battle is sometimes with the referees, knowing a little bit about every sport that they've played. I'm like, that's not the right.
That's
call.
tough. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it takes me some time to not say things, but sometimes, as a parent, And
It's
it's
tough
not
to coach.
not necessarily against my daughter, but against the team or my son's team or whatever. It's like, come on, how could you miss that? And then sometimes I speak too quickly, and then I'm like, oh, I can't pull it back, So what about, how do you, if you know you got screwed, coach, what do you say to your team? Like, hey, we got the raw end of the deal, or do you just say, you know what, we're going to come back and we're not going to worry about this. It's done. We're done. And let's move forward.
Like, as far as like officiating, maybe there's
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. If
Um,
a official
never-
blows a call.
never talk about it. Like,
Okay.
we can't control that. Like, I even our coaching staff, I tell them, like, we don't ever talk about officiating. I don't care how egregious it is, whatever we may think. Like, first off, these officials are human beings. They're not doing this full time, and we have a shortage the way it is. And so I think it's very important to be respectful and communicate to the officials, and they're going to make mistakes, and sports are hard. And going through adversity, if there's a call that doesn't go your way, you have another play. And a basketball game, a football game should never come down to one play. Everyone always complains about the last 2 minutes of a basketball game. Well, what about the first 2 minutes where you were 0 for 3 from the free throw line? You can control that.
Right.
And so our guys know, like, it just doesn't, we can't even register it. We just don't even want to, we just got to control what we can control and end a discussion.
Okay.
Well, you mentioned the first 2 minutes of a game, even during the middle of the game, whether I'm broadcasting or I'm coaching, it's just like there's a missed free throw. And in my mind, I'm like, if we lose by 1,
Yes.
that's could be the reason.
Yes.
Or a turnover or missed layup.
Yes.
God, if we lose by 1, remember we missed a layup back in the second quarter that would have put us up. So that's what I always think about. Obviously, I don't go in and go, hey, you missed a layup back in the second quarter. You lost the game for us. But, being as a coach, I've walked in before when that game has been taken away from you by the officials. The kids know it. You know it. You walk in and go, and most of the time I'll walk in and go, they see it on my face. And I'm just like, you know what? Can't control it.
Yeah.
Just like you said. Yeah, they know what happened. I mean, you don't have to walk in and go, hey, kids, we just got screwed. How'd that feel?
Right.
Like,
No.
They all know because they're going to go home, talk with their parents, and you mentioned the comment about you don't talk about referees, coaches in front of kids and all that. And it's got to go through your mind, though, if there's a play or if there's, you messed up as a coach, and you even tell the kids, hey, my bad.
100%.
And 100% that there's 3 kids when they get home, mom and dad are going, what was Coach Zachman? What was he? So, and that part, you have to coach these kids to go, you know what? We're all going to get questioned in life.
Yeah.
And if that play would have worked, mom and dad would have been going, Nate Zachman's a genius.
Yeah.
He won the game for us.
Well,
maybe
he
they
still
won't,
is. He still is. But I mean,
Yeah, a long way to go. Not even close.
But being a coach is, I mean, yeah, you're Mr. Nice Guy. You work for BSN. People love you. You played. And, there's those naysayers out there. There's and you walk by and they'll say hi to you. But it's like, yeah, there's some people in town that don't like me because of that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the way to handle that is when I first got into coaching, this is prior to having my own kids. And I felt like it was just, there's no way that anybody should question what I do as a coach, for instance, because that's what I do for a living. So I'm not going to go tell you how to run your farm. I'm not going to tell you how to ranch. I'm not going to tell you how to run your business. But that was the wrong mindset to have, because the common denominator is what I'm doing is I'm coaching their son or daughter.
Yeah.
And so I've actually totally pivoted, and I want to hear from parents. I want that line of communication to be open. Are you going to convince me to not run the 1-3-1 or run this set or change our front? Probably not. But I think it's so important to not put up a wall between coach and parent. And I will always want to keep that, because if there's something going on at home that I don't know about, I want to know, or, I think it's so important to keep the line of communication up with parents and let them know that, we can visit about this or that. And so I totally pivoted that. I had the mindset, like, you can't tell me what to do because I don't tell you what to do in your job. But
Right.
after having kids, that's changed. And I think it's important to understand what is going on at home when you're coaching someone else's son or daughter. And as far as the naysayers, like, you're always going to have that, I think. And it's just keep your circle small. You know who your supporters are, like your Fox Den people, if you will.
I think this is my
And,
circle right here. Yeah, Nate and myself.
yeah, exactly. So I think, just don't weigh on the negative and don't get too hyped up on the positive either, but I'm like, don't be humble, be humble.
Be humble.
Yeah.
You mentioned the communication with the parents. That actually happened this year. Coach and I were talking. It's like, man, what's up with so-and-so? That just, they're not right. It's like, and you don't want to walk up to the kid and go, hey, what's the deal? What's going on? What's going on at home? And it was weird because the next day he comes, he goes, hey, mom called me. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I don't know if she was in the gym when we were talking, but yeah, she called and said, hey, this is going on. It was a medical thing. And it's just like, oh, wow, that explains things. And once we knew about it and they figured it out, I mean, things got better, but it's just like, it was weird. It's like we picked it out and it's just like, yeah, something's not right here. And it's like mom calls that night. It's just like,
wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
So yeah, there's the lines of communication need to stay open with the parents. And obviously there's going to be one or two parents that aren't going to want to communicate with you because they've got their mindset of, all right, Johnny's not playing enough. I don't like you anymore.
Right.
My son should be playing more or whatever, or should be playing this position. And that's always tough. And as a parent, I mean, I got to take those blinders off as a coach. I got to take them off as a, when we watch a football game. I mean, I use the example of Chad and I could be watching a football game and there's a pass interference call. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's obvious. And he's like, no, it's not. It's like, so where your blinders are, if you're cheering for New England, you're going, that's pass interference.
I know. And we sit, and I'm a coach, and then I sit and I criticize, what the Vikings are doing. What am I doing? Like, what I'm saying? Like, as a fan, like, I'm criticizing what the Chicago Bears are doing. Like, really, I live in Mount North Dakota. I coach 9-man football. Like, I'm not, as fans, we sit there and think we have it all figured out. And these people literally do this for a living, and we're sitting here telling them, why would they do that? That's just, but that's kind of the fun part of sports, though, as well.
Yeah, I love getting Nolan's goat, and I can do it pretty easy. I think some days he's like, "Why are you being such a jack?" But that's just the buddy thing between each other.
Yeah.
But we make fun of the guys on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. Like, oh, I picked this 10 years ago that this person, it's just like everybody changed their mind. Communication in general, that throughout your whole life, no matter if it's sports, work, or personal, just being able to communicate with each other. And when Nolan texts me, you hurt my feelings, then I have to say, I'm sorry.
There we go. Let's go.
But I will tell you, Nate, when we started this, it was probably a couple months in and Chad and I went down a dark place. We went and started dogging Detroit Lion fans.
Yes.
And I mean, it got to a point of, I think we were getting blocked. He was getting blocked for some. I'm like, Chad, we might just want to step back a little bit. Because it was like, we were doing it in fun. But some of these people were just like, if they knew where we lived, I think we might have
had some visitors to our house.
Yeah. Like, whoa, these guys are like over the top here. Let's scale it back a little bit.
Yeah, so we did. We kind of let up and we apologized and all that.
So we got to segue into the draft last night.
Yeah.
Unless you have any other big questions of life for Nate.
No, Nate kind of subscribes to what I subscribe to. Just be a good human being, be humble. And sometimes you're not always going to be right or you're not always going to win. It's how you come back.
Love it.
After that and say, okay, we're going to move forward. I will ask one. Okay. So I'm a HR guy by day, coach.
Okay.
And sometimes
except for
my wife says, yeah, well, I don't work on Fridays, but except for this.
And Mondays.
Mondays too. I HR my kids sometimes is what my wife says. So I'll
Let's
be
go.
like, this is how, do you ever coach your kids sometimes when you're like, this is why we clean our room, or this is why we do this, or this is why we do that? Or,
Absolutely. You have
Okay.
to. I think
Yeah.
that's in our DNA a little bit.
Yeah.
you know,
Everybody's
like
a coach.
right.
Yeah, I think it's so important, to I mean, I'll be honest with you, like I'm hard on my kids, but I want them to be, they're gonna learn from that, and I think
Right.
it's absolutely I do that. But like I said, I call it the harp and hug. I'm gonna harp on you, then I'm gonna hug you.
Yeah.
And if
Right.
if I have to harp on you, I'm gonna harp on you again. And that's with my own kids, and that's with other people's kids,
Okay.
And I think in our generation sometimes maybe there's too much harp, and sometimes there's too much hug,
Right.
and not enough. So yeah, I do that. And
That-
it's really, I've learned it's really important to explain things and make sure that they hear the message, not the tone.
Right. Right.
So if the tone is coming across aggressive, all they're hearing is the tone. They're not hearing the words
Okay.
and the message. And that goes with coaching and my own kids. I think that's very, very important.
Gotcha. So now you don't have to answer this one in case she listens, but do you coach your wife? Because I've been told that I HR my wife once in a while. And she looks at me. She'll look at me, coach, and say, "Don't HR me." And I'm like, okay.
I think she coaches me. She coaches me
Okay.
hard,
There-
man. God dang it.
We learn something new every day, don't we?
Yeah,
I'll
we
tell
sure
you
do.
what, like I don't have it figured out. So like I'm still trying to get off the bench, I think.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
work.
Yeah, I would never start if she was the coach. No, if my wife was the coach, I'd never start.
No, I would
Yeah.
probably say the marriage part of it, that has to be more of a give and take. And I think that's very important to I mean, marriage, my wife's relationship needs to come before my kids. And our relationship needs to be more important than honestly our kids. And that's kind of hard to say sometimes and even do that.
Right.
But that's more of a team thing. That's a teamwork thing. That's like head coaches working together. I think it is how I'd sum that up.
That's
There you
great.
go.
That's great.
Okay, all right, let's get into
Yeah.
the draft.
Yeah.
Last night,
All right.
actually, the draft started between games. So one of the kids popped the phone up, and all of a sudden, Goodell walks on stage. I grabbed the phone from him. And I'm watching it, and they're like, "We they're taking." I'm like, "I know, but I want to hear this."
Yep.
And when he said it, I mean, I got goosebumps. Like, yeah, we got him. And it's just like for the last, I don't know how many months has it been, Chad. It's like I've been teeter-tottering back and forth. I'm like, God, do we want Caleb Williams? Do we want to trade out? Do we want to get more draft picks? And I think as the night went on, it's just like,
Ladies
yeah,
and
I think
gentlemen,
Caleb Williams was the right pick.
we got him.
And yeah, we got him.
We got him.
It was, yeah, I think it'll be pretty cool. And I guess I'm ready. I think I've grown up quite a bit on social media where I keep seeing, I flipped on this morning and people are just, Chicago Bears are stupid. Why did they like,
Yeah.
don't reply.
Well, there's
Don't reply.
those, Nolan, there's always going to be those people. And I've been telling you that for a long time. So if you were to grade your Bears, and coach, you can grade them as well. What would you give them?
With the first two picks, I would probably give them a high A.
High.
Yeah,
high
A minus.
Yeah. I mean, you got a Dunze. Yeah, you could have went offensive tackle. You could have went Dallas Turner at defense. But I think for the most part, you get three receivers. You got to remember Keenan Allen is not a young chick. I mean, Odunze is getting molded by Keenan Allen to go with DJ Moore for the next 6-7 years or till DJ.
So we got a comment on Facebook here that Bears wasted another first round pick.
Now,
So I will let you.
This guy is a Packer fan, and nobody in Detroit or in Green Bay liked that first pick, did they?
Yeah.
That Detroit or that the Green Bay Packers did.
Yeah.
They went offensive tackle.
Love it.
You love it. So you give your Packers an A.
Listen, first off, let's go back to Caleb Williams and then even
Okay.
JJ McCarthy and even the Vikings. I think that's huge for the Vikings. Vikings had a phenomenal first round. Give it till Thanksgiving. I think you need to make your assessment on Caleb Williams and JJ, all these draft picks coming in. Give it until Thanksgiving. Where are we at? Are you playing 500 ball? I think you can really make it. Okay, this guy can play. You should know by Thanksgiving.
Right.
And even going back, and Nolan and I talked about this last week just on the phone, like the Jordan Love, don't be a prisoner of the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
He had one big game against Dallas. Like, let's not roll out the red carpet already. I think we do that too much. He just, like I said, the NFC North is going to be loaded.
Yeah.
Loaded.
Well, look at the Vikings last year where Josh Dobbs comes in,
Yeah.
and then he started to learn the offense, and then it was worse and worse. And I mean, it's crazy.
You don't really know. Who's the
Right.
Bears quarterback coach?
They have a new one. I don't remember. The
Yeah,
name.
right. I can't remember, but
They
see,
got a
that's
new
going
OC
to be big.
and quarterback coach.
So what's that relationship like?
Yep.
Yep.
I think he's from Seattle. I think the quarterback coach was. I think, not 100% sure, but I could do my research. And
Chad, you're a Vikings fan, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So JJ to JJ, you like that?
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's
probably won't
General.
have very much, but
See, General McCarthy to JJ is what the new thing is going to be. So it's going.
I'm hearing JJ throwing it to JJ, picked off by Jalen Johnson, JJ for a pick six. That's what I'm seeing when they play the Bears.
So hearing Nolan tell us that means the Vikings had a very good draft because he's worried that the Vikings. That's I know my boy. I know my boy that's on there with me, and he's.
So I did tell you that I'm not a JJ McCarthy fan. I love Michigan. Never been a JJ McCarthy fan. I think that the Vikings would have been better off. Well, they had to trade a bunch to get up to 3 for Drake May, but I don't know. I think JJ McCarthy's a reach. They traded up. I know there was other teams maybe jockeying for that position, but I don't know. I
think he'll work, and I think he'll work. I think he'll work because of because of Harbaugh. Such a good quarterback coach. He's gonna be a pro. I think he might not have the. Okay, Caleb Williams probably has more raw talent. Let's be honest, right? I mean,
Okay.
scrambling ability, athleticism. I think JJ McCarthy, and then with KOC, I think there's just a really good mix. I really do think he'll work.
I do too. I think, and Nolan and I have talked about this. I think Sam Darnold could possibly flourish in this offense as well because of the weapons. I mean,
You're right.
He's never had like a really good arsenal of weapons, so we'll see. Like you said, give it till Thanksgiving. If Darnold's not doing it, you put JJ in.
Yeah, I think that is that. I would just, if we come back and do this again, let's talk around Thanksgiving and see where our teams are at. Because
Absolutely, for sure.
the Packers, who knows where Jordan? I mean, that's the fun part of the NFL is it's a week to week league. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I can't imagine the stress that those
Well,
coaches.
if the Vikings start off 4-2, McCarthy stays on the bench. If they start off 2-4, when is the time that O'Connell's? I mean, is he going to be itching to make that switch? Is he waiting for that first 2 interception game to go halftime? All right, JJ McCarthy, you're in. And once you put him in, you played your piece, and that's.
Yeah, again, like Nate said, it's just you just got to go with it, man. It's week to week. You don't know. I mean,
who is the
it'll
better
be-
O line between the Vikings and the Bears, and the better run game?
I would say they're probably about even.
Right.
I think the O line's about even. Running game, Aaron Jones is good, but he's on my keeper league, so he's probably going to be not going to do anything this year. So
Thanks
So
a lot.
here's
Get rid of him. Trade him away, Nolan. Trade him away.
So here's my only concern about Williams, and then comparison to McCarthy, is how many snaps did Williams take under center in college at USC, where JJ McCarthy was in a pro-style NFL offense under Harbaugh, and the play action. So like with Aaron Jones, even Sam Darnold, whoever the quarterback is for the Vikings, they're going to really be able. The passing game always can develop easier off of the run game. And when those linebackers start coming up, I think JJ has done a really good job of running the play action. Now you got your deep shot post to Jefferson, all of that. Whereas with Williams, it's zone read, so just going to be curious to see how his transition under center goes, or maybe the Bears are going to pivot to more shotgun, but getting under center, especially in November and December and January in the NFL, is huge.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
Definitely
So-
agreed. And I don't think Williams was under center too much.
And he's going to have to develop that.
Yeah.
And being a good athlete, he should be able to. You know,
And I personally thought the Bears gave up on Fields a little too early. And I think Nolan thinks that, but now he's excited about Williams. So I get
yeah.
that.
What do you think about
Gotta
that? Because I liked Fields. What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
But and with Fields too, it's like now Pittsburgh decided they're not going to pick up their 5th-year option. Don't know if he's going to start. I don't know. Having a running quarterback, watching Cam Newton, Vic, all those guys just get the crap beat. Steve Young, you take off, you just get the crap beat out of you. It takes years off of your career, and it's just
You're
like
right. You're right.
you love the Tom Brady that's just going to sit back there and if I get hit late, all right. Not my fault. I didn't run, but Fields was one where I don't have no idea. Maybe it was because I'm a Bears fan the way I watched it, but all those late hits that were not called.
I would agree with that. I would,
Yeah.
Even at that Vikings game that you and I went to, there was a
it's just
couple late ones. It's
why
like,
is
come on.
that called, and he continued to take those hits, and
See,
You
and
know,
then I think he lost. What I feel bad about him is he lost a lot of confidence.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
could just tell he lost in the
he
which
just quit
is
throwing. He'd look, and then he'd run.
Yeah.
right.
And I know that they were Getsy and them were trying to make him a pocket passer. You could tell there was a couple games, and I think even the Viking game, he sat there and you just seen the pocket clapping like
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, I'm gonna stay in here. And then
Yeah,
he gets it's like so
Thinking
it's all in
too
the
much.
offense. I mean, and we had talked about it too, Chad. I think it was, and maybe it was another Viking fan, but somebody said, okay, if the Bears don't make the playoffs, if Eberflus gone, I
That
don't think
was
you
you
can
and
do that. I
No.
don't think you can bring Caleb Williams in and go, you know what? Let's do another head coach and OC next year. And
Yeah.
that's what they did to Fields. Fields had 2 head coaches and 3 OCs. Well, how good are you going to be? That'd be like if your position, they changed it. Well, they do that around here, coaches every year, and they
Yeah,
expect
you can't build
to
any.
win.
You
It's
can't
like
build any confidence. You can't
Yeah.
build any, relationships with that. I
changing offenses. You're changing everything.
take your verbiage, your language, all of that. That's yeah.
Mhm. So, Coach, if you're Kirk Cousins, how are you feeling this morning?
Dude, I saw all that. Get over it. You're coming off an Achilles tendon. Okay, so I got a 2012 Chevy Suburban. It's got 250,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
It might be time to thinking about an upgrade.
Yeah.
That's what the Falcons are doing. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
you put the new car in the garage. So it
Yeah.
doesn't get all messed up.
yes.
Wow.
Take it to Bismarck and Fargo. That's
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, taking on those long trips.
I hate the narrative that these old dogs get offended when the team drafts a quarterback. It's like, be a good teammate, and are you afraid of competition? Like, aren't you at the highest level of football to compete? Like, are you nervous? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think the iron sharpens iron, and I hate the narrative when these quarterbacks are, well, I didn't know they were going to draft a quarterback. Well, you're not the GM, you're the quarterback. So
Right.
do your job. And yeah,
And if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm going on my bank app and going,
I've got 100 million reasons why not to be
I'm still
upset.
pretty good in my bank balance, so I'm good. I can
Yeah.
buy an Xbox tonight. Not a
and I was a
huge-
Kirk Cousins fan. I like Kirk. I
Yep.
do.
Oh, yeah.
All of us have, but I just thought, and that's coming from his agent, so we don't know what was really
True.
said. But I'm not 100% sure the Falcons made the right pick there. But again, I'm not a GM. I don't know what their plans
Yeah.
are. So it's
No,
kind
What,
of
good
what
thing
were their
there.
needs? What were their other needs? People.
they needed some defense is what they
Yeah.
really need, because
Yeah.
they've got some weapons on that offensive side right now. So, but they always say pick the best player available, and I don't
I don't think
100%
Penix
believe
wasn't
Penix. But yeah, I don't think that. But who knows? Who knows? They're in the game for a reason, and I'm sitting here talking trash about them for a reason because
Yeah.
I don't really know. But
Oh, we nailed Nick's going to Denver.
we did.
Yeah.
I was 7 for 7. I was like, wow, I can mock draft pretty well.
Your first 7 were spot on.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's go.
Well, he
Yeah.
went off. He went off Dan Orlovsky's.
Come on, buddy. I did.
Dude, he's the best, though. He is so smart.
You think? I can't stand the guy.
I was
Coach.
just gonna say Chad don't like Dan Orlovsky.
I,
but he changes like the wind. I mean, one day it's just like Bears need to draft Jaden Daniels. It's like, what are you talking about? And then he'll the next day
You're
go,
right.
oh.
Yeah.
But that's how they get their views. I mean, every
They're
day
probably
I flip
told
on
what to
X,
say.
Yeah.
one day it was like, oh, Vikings going to trade up to get him. Oh, Drake May yesterday. And then all of a sudden it was JJ McCarthy. Then they went back to May. Then they went to Daniels. And it's just like, so that's social media. I mean,
Yeah, no,
You're right.
and so I do think he does have some good thoughts, but I just don't. I think it's funny because he was a Lion and he ran out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah,
when
true. He'll never
Yeah. He'll never live that
live
time.
that. Yeah, I just like his breakdown in season.
yeah.
Like seeing the. Have you guys ever went on the subscribe to the All 22, so you can
No.
see the camera view of the NFL games?
No.
It's so cool. It's
Is
so
it?
cool.
Okay.
There's so much we don't see on TV.
Okay. Am I lagging behind? It kind of sounds like I am when I'm.
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
Am I good now? Okay. All right.
So Nate, is the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, any scripts out there? Is it rigged? What do you think?
Oh boy.
This is the conspiracy theory that I've been dealing with from day one, Coach. He thinks
Well, okay.
if things don't go his way, everything's rigged.
Oh,
and scripted.
no. Now let's just talk about the latest NBA one, and you tell me what you think, because what they said, the guy from the Raptors was banned for life for giving confidential information to bettors. So, what kind of confidential information would this guy have
right.
to give the bettors, other than saying, "Oh, Chad Decker's got a pulled hamstring; he's not going to play"? Well, everybody's going to know that, but
It's
what kind of
confidential.
confidential
We don't know.
information are we talking about that's going to give you a lifetime ban?
So if you bet, and this is sorry, Coach, I jumped in. If I'm scheduled to score 30 points tonight, I can tell these guys, hey, I'm only going to make 20.
Why you
Right?
scheduled to score 30?
Well, I don't know, because I'm that good of a player.
Yeah, like the player props.
Yeah.
There's so many different tiers to this question.
We'll have to do it on another podcast. Is that what
yeah,
you're
for
saying?
sure.
We can
talk
bring
about,
it back.
The gambling and the player props, and then you go to like the Super Bowl, like, hey, the Chiefs had to, all that, right? Here's one thing I know that is not rigged is Patrick Mahomes' work ethic.
Right.
That is the one, like I try to separate I try to separate the conspiracy conversation and then the athletes, because you don't get into the NFL by luck. And so when it comes down to it, I just appreciate the work ethic that these athletes are putting in, NFL, NBA, you name it. And I just try to enjoy the purity of individuals working their tails off and going and competing.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my answer to that.
Yeah, I do that too. And it's like every game. I mean, there's a reason why I still sit down and watch the Chicago Bears. It's just like, hey, they could win today, or they could.
Yes.
But then on the next hand, all of a sudden there's a former player from the Titans that comes out and says, hey, things are scripted. It's like, whoa, what?
That's
So, I mean, I don't know. Referees.
well, it's been proven
ball.
in the NBA, right? Wasn't that one guy like kicked
Oh.
out of the league because he
Yeah.
was? But I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Do you guys watch a lot of NBA?
try not
I
to.
would.
I mean,
Yeah, I would, but I don't get the Timberwolves game here because they're on a different sports network than what is able to come into Rochester here. Same with the Twins, so I can't watch a lot of baseball either unless it's on
NBA got tough after Kobe left the league.
Oh,
To
dude,
me.
big Kobe fan. Let's go. I don't enjoy the 85 game preseason,
Yeah,
but I do enjoy the playoffs. I do.
yeah.
But what are we doing with the playoffs here now? 7, 8, 9, and 10. 9 and 10. Hey, you can still make the playoffs. Let's go do a 1-game play-in. It's like if you're 10th in the league, you don't make the playoffs. I know
Money.
it's money. I know.
Money.
But-
So, hey, I wanted to ask before we jump into a little, and I know Nolan, you got to go here pretty quick. So, Coach, a leader of a football team. I've always thought you brought up Mahomes. He's the leader of the Chiefs. I mean,
Yeah.
he is like. Do you think for a team to win a Super Bowl, they need that quarterback to be that leader? Because that was something I've always had with Kirk Cousins. He wasn't like the Vikings mouthpiece per se. He was, they tried with Kirk O'Chains and all that stuff, but I didn't think he had the team. I think it was more Jefferson and Hunter that actually have the team. Was Fields the guy in Chicago? Like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, when he was with the Packers, he was the leader. I mean, it was like he's the guy.
Yeah. So you basically, in order to win a Super Bowl, we need our quarterback to be our best leader. I'll give you one name: Ray Lewis.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I think, and that was a different era. I mean, it's a quarterback league. It's a quarterback league now. We're protecting our quarterbacks. And I'll be honest too, like, I don't want to see Pat Mahomes get hurt. I want the D lineman to be able to tackle the quarterback. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we also understand, like, we want the best quarterbacks to be out there.
Right.
Well, I think
I think the answer is your best players on your team need to be your hardest workers and your best leaders.
I think Brian Urlacher
in
2006, he was the team leader when they went to the Super Bowl.
Right. I was the year they played the Colts, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a tough question because you look like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Mahomes. Even you can criticize, being a Packers fan, you can criticize Aaron Rodgers' lack of leadership and how it was detrimental to the team. That's a really good question.
And who's the leader in Minnesota right now? Do you think Jefferson?
No.
I think it's Harrison Smith by virtue of him being there the longest. But I think they will. Yep. But I think they will. I think General McCarthy will kind of become that. Give him a little time, and I think he'll be that leader that team needs. And that's just me. I don't think Kirk had it to be that guy.
I
don't think that. And I think he's going to get down to Atlanta and he's going to win some games for him. And he's going to throw a whole lot of touchdowns and throw for a whole lot of yards. But when it gets to the playoffs, he's just going to make those same silly mistakes that he has made.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the last few Super Bowl champions, and like, it probably has been since Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Because he was the heart and soul of that team, and you hear that all the time. Who was Trent Dilfer? Was he the quarterback for that team?
Yes, yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
He's a professional. Don't get me wrong, but he's not a superstar.
He wasn't a superstar.
And who led the Buccaneers? It was Brad Johnson that year. Who was their leader?
Warren Sapp.
Wow. Let's go. Yeah.
Well, different, like you said, I never thought about it like different eras, but during those times, it was that whole defense wins championships. And I think that's changing now because I think the offenses are a little bit more high.
I know. I always live on that as like defense wins championships, and people are like, shut up. It was 42-35. Defense didn't win that championship.
I know.
I was like, oh, yeah.
Atlanta
did not play defense in the second half. Tom Brady took care of that. But.
Right.
But what's so fun to watch is the coaching. I mean, it is just unbelievable what these coaches can get out of their players and what they have to do on a week-to-week basis. It is so impressive that what the Packers were able to do against Dallas. That wasn't Jordan Love. That was coaching. They got out coached. And and then it's just so fun. And then the room for error in the NFL is so minimal. Right. And that's just why it's just so enjoyable to watch, because it's so competitive and the coaching is so good. That's what I appreciate is the coaching and then how competitive it is.
It's funny you say that they out-coached Dallas, and obviously Mike McCarthy, former Packer coach. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. So as coaches go, Coach, who do you look up to? Who is your favorite one of all time? If you could say, I emulate
Ron Benson. He's my mentor.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah. He was the coach before I took over here.
Okay.
Honestly, try to keep that allegiance local. To be honest with you,
like this, Chad and Nate, the assistant, would be running up and down the sidelines, high fiving. Ron looking back like, God, Nate, stop, would you?
Well, hey, that's
I know.
That's the excitement of being a coach.
Nate is one, and the last podcast, I think Dallas brought it up, is when everybody went in the end zone to celebrate the victory, they waited for you as you come sprinting. You ain't going to be able to do that when you're 51. But
there you go, buddy.
jumped.
I don't
in.
think I can do that anymore.
Yeah.
I did that later on in the year. I hyperextended my knee so bad.
Oh,
That hurt
there you go.
So bad.
There you
So,
go, buddy. It's over.
I just
Welcome
I
to
might
old age,
slide
buddy.
into third base next year, this fall. I might just be sliding into the huddle. No more jumping.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a sports spectacular in May because Nolan and I are going to see who's the better athlete. We might need a judge there to say, "Hey, boys,
There you go.
Are you guys
All
going to
the
compete a little bit?
Well, my daughter's graduating on the 19th, so Chad and Becky are her godparents, so they're coming out to graduation. He goes, "I'm coming out on Wednesday." I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So then we started talking about, oh, we got to do some bowling, we got to do some kicking field goals, we got to do some golf, we got to do. He wanted to do the 40-yard dash, and I'm like, I don't. Right now I haven't blown any knees out. I'm healthy.
I love it.
I
well,
don't want to risk it. He runs his. He did kind of a preview. He did his on turf, and I got to do it out on a bumpy old football field that I
Yep,
know. But
yep.
right about the 30, my hammy just
you
gonna
run
go,
up and down. Well, I after I tried that 40, I said, well, maybe that would be the tiebreaker in case after all these things. And then my wife gave me a warning saying, that our health insurance, it's out of network over in North Dakota. So
we can't run the 40.
I think we're gonna calm it down a little bit, Coach.
Yeah.
And kind
But
of,
I
is good
think
stuff.
we could settle it with some golf, some basketball.
we're
Yep.
gonna have like a
Field
3-point
goals.
contest and maybe kick a few field goals.
Love
We'd
the
invite
bowling.
you, Nate, but you're too young. You'd probably make us feel real bad. So
Yeah.
I've seen
I'm
you
not
as an
that
athlete.
young. I'm not that young.
How old are you?
34, I think. Yeah, 34.
Prime,
Right,
prime time. Yeah. Prime, you're in your prime.
34. Yeah.
But kudos to 4 kids though, because Nolan and I both have 4 kids, and it's
Yep.
been a wonderful adventure.
Let's go.
So
Appreciate
what are
that.
your
Yeah.
ages of your kids?
What's that?
What are the ages of your kids?
You said it earlier.
7, 5,
5
and
and
3.
3.
And then
And
one. So the
one's on the
second
way.
one will be the one that keeps you young until she's about a freshman. Because right now Gabby's graduating. I still got a 6th grader.
Let's
And
go.
right now she's the one that's. I'm like, yeah, I still got a 6th grader. I still got a 6th grader. I'm not gonna be able to say that here pretty soon. I'm gonna be
Oh
going.
man, then it's into junior high, and then it goes so fast.
Oh,
God
yeah.
dang it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's and let you know she's jacked for track. So she wants to get into junior high track next year, and they're not letting them do it as 6th graders down here. I'm a little bummed, but
Yeah, why?
wanted-
We always do that. That's great. I love that opportunity.
that's another story for another
For
time.
another-
Gotcha.
Another committee meeting,
Gotcha.
So
So our youngest daughters are about the same age. Mine's
Okay.
14. Nolan's is 13. Mine's a freshman in high school, and his is a 6th grade. How does that? We just can't figure out how
we
that
can't
works.
figure it out. 'Cause I told Chad, I'm like, are you sure she's 14? He's like,
Yeah.
And I think they're a little bit more on the spectrum where she's an older 14 and
Well, she
Izzy's a
turns
younger-
15. She turns 15 next month. But
Okay.
he's like, "Are you sure she's?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm sure. I know my own daughter's age." So we're
Because
kind of
Izzy really should be a 7th grader.
okay.
Well, I guess if she's in Minnesota, she should be a freshman.
Yeah, that's wild.
But she
Yeah.
keeps telling me, she goes, I could have been playing with those girls. And I'm like, you know what? You're going to thank me when you're a senior.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because,
Absolutely.
Sam Oates, she was a Miss Basketball a couple years ago, Chad. She was 17, I believe, her senior year. Somebody told me. I did not know that.
That's
She was
insane.
young. She could have played another year and just dominated high school basketball for one more year.
So she could have been Bo Nix and played like 12 years of college
Yeah.
and then come
Yeah.
out.
Well, it sure
Okay.
seems like he played forever.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that whole COVID thing. So
Yeah, COVID year.
yeah. So well, Coach, we appreciate. I know Nolan says he's got to be somewhere, so we gotta. We
if-
went
and
over
if
an
you're
hour.
in
It's been a long time.
Yeah, we can do this once a month if you want. We can
Let's
talk.
Yeah.
go.
for
I love
sure.
it.
For sure. Yeah.
I love
We
it.
don't need to
your,
do an hour, but I mean,
yeah, well,
Chad and I always get on. It's like, hey, let's do a quick one. Let's do 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden, an hour and 7 minutes later, we're
I
like,
know. This went fast. I can't believe it's
Yeah.
6 o'clock already.
yeah, it did. Yeah. So, but we
But no,
appreciate you coming on and yeah, four. That's a great number, buddy. I'm
Let's go.
telling you. Lily Rose she just made our family. So
Let's go. I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys
You
have a
bet.
good weekend.
yeah, and we will certainly have you on again. We
Yeah,
appreciate
we'll
your
connect
time.
again, for sure.
Okay. All right. Take
Okay,
care, my
sounds
friend.
good. We
Yeah.
ending this right here,
Nice
Chad.
meeting you, Chad.
Yeah.
What's that,
Nice to
Nolan?
meet you.
All right. Have a good one.
Later.
Cheering on those Nighthawks.
Yeah, there you go. Great guest, Nolan. Thanks for
Yeah.
rolling that through. So
Well, we were kind of talking too after I did that. You were like, maybe we should get some more coaches on here.
yeah, I think that's good. He's got some good lessons, and I appreciate that. So
And there's plenty of them now. We got to realize this is a young guy here, in his 30s.
yeah,
And maybe there's some coaches around here that I know would come on that are in their 50s,
yeah. No,
been for 40 years.
he had a
you
great message, and I love that, and I'm gonna take some of that when I'm at my
Yeah.
daughter's soccer game, and most likely try not to chirp at the refs. But thankfully, all of my kids have had great coaches in whatever thing they went. So I think that's fantastic, and those kids
But no
that are
matter
under
what,
those kids
you
that are
have-
underneath him right now, I think they're in a pretty good spot
Yeah.
with Coach Nate there. So
and as great as coaches are, and I think I've mentioned this to Nate on the phone too, as great as coaches are, you could go 12-1, 13-0. There's always going to have that one person or two people that go,
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, but that's life. I mean, that's
yeah, and to me, it doesn't seem like he's bothered by that. He knows that that's
no,
happening.
no.
He's just a humble guy, and that's great to see. Taking care of our youth. So,
Yep.
hey, don't mean to end it on a bummer, but I just told you earlier, my buddy that I grew up with passed away, and I just wanted to,
Sorry about that.
just wanted to give him a rest easy. He's we did a lot of stuff growing up, played a lot of sports and all that sort of thing. So
You said same grade, right?
Yep. Yeah, him and I, we grew up a house between each other, and just rest easy, Doug.
Yeah.
Sometimes
And
we
just
kinda-
remember, life short. I mentioned to you, I think I mentioned to you earlier, one of my classmates' husbands had a heart attack and passed away.
Yeah. So
And I don't know the details on it, but there was a 4 or 5-year-old up in Stanley that she passed away. And I don't know the details on it, but I know one of the coaches up there from Stanley put on there, first thing that he put on his Facebook was go home, hug your kids, hug your wife.
absolutely.
And you should have that mentality anyway. But with the busyness of life, sometimes it's like you're laying in bed going, God, I didn't. There's times I've gotten up at like 11 or 10. I'm going, I didn't say goodnight to the girls.
Yeah.
Or you hurry up and just text them going, hey, good night, love you guys.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah.
make sure you do that to your graduates,
To everybody.
Adult
Just
kids,
we
everybody.
got such a short time on this marble we travel on. So just appreciate it, and laughter gets you through a lot of stuff, buddy. So I appreciate you, and you help
bet.
us laugh.
You too. And an
You
hour ago, I did get Jacob a Caleb Williams jersey, and I ordered a Dunze jersey. So
Well, there you go.
good to
You're gonna
go for 24.
So when we go to Soldiers Field, we're gonna have a rip roaring time. You might have to bring me an Urlacher jersey just so I can fit in or something.
But what scares me, it was discounted 75% because of draft day. I'm
Yeah.
waiting for Gate City to put up and say there's a scam or something. So
There you go.
I'm hoping not.
Hey, buddy, have a great weekend. We got
I will.
my youngest
too.
daughter's
It's
getting
raining here,
confirmed.
so.
Is it? Yeah, we got a little rain here too. So Lily's getting confirmed this weekend. So we got a busy weekend ahead of us.
And as Nate said, when you're walking on the grass, make sure you water it, right?
Oh, I always water my grass.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
all right, buddy. Take care.
Yep. See ya.